So you might want to watch this one because you're watching a whole bunch of people being manipulated left and right, left through all kinds of stuff, whatever your political ideology is, your standpoint on life, the war, the government, other countries, da 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 da, right? You want to understand why, don't you? So if you're like completely obsessed about what's going on in Iran or Israel and the people in the United States fighting against the whatever, right? All of it is like literally being utilized against you or anybody else in the same state of mind, right? So you can argue, you can say that it's not possible or that our government would never do this. I mean, if you were in the military, as a matter of fact, most military people would probably say, I know they are doing this. I absolutely believe that they are doing this, right? So no matter where you stand on whatever topic that might be, guess what? It's being put on steroids, right? Literally, through frequency. And I'll explain, I'll start reading to you once I can get this. Where's that music coming from? Do you ever see that? It's my brain is like Windows or something. Where's it? But all these pages are open, but where's that music coming from? It makes me laugh. This is one of my favorite songs, man. Oh, all right, so where I'm going here is going to be valuable, right? Because like everybody's attacking people that are coming out and talking about like what's actually going on and where and how. I wrote a couple things down. Listen, man, I know AI is the enemy right now. Believe me, I know that, and I understand that my neurology is being assessed as I use it, right? These phones pick up and detect waves coming out of the brain. The brain puts off specific ranges of brain waves, okay? So if you keep that in mind and you understand that that is a fact and that is something that's happening or can happen, right? If you understand it that way, that it can happen, like you'd be talking about a rife frequency, right? So if I could take a plate of, just a regular plate, paper plate, let's say, right? And I put that plate on top of a speaker while that speaker's playing. That plate's got a whole bunch of crumbs on it. They're going to dance around and do weird shit, right? That's vibration. That's at its lowest form. Like we would understand. This is how physical matter is moved. So from that range all the way forward, right? Higher and higher and higher and higher. No matter how dense a material is, it can be vibrated out, out of its existence, out of its composition. It can be knocked apart, right? Granite, I can match the resonant field of granite and make it fall apart if I had weaponry or technology strong enough to do that, right? Lots of electricity and all of that, right? So these people are attacking this poor lady that's like so far into this, like she's far past where I'm at, right? This whole thing with Sabrina Wallace, and these people are attacking the shit out of her. I mean, that bugged me last night, and I'm just like, this lady is like so far on it, Well, the parasites don't harm anybody if you are electromagnetically sound, which none of us are, Bob. The parasites are a secondary problem to frequency. I really looked into this deep for years now. I'm 5 years or so. It's, again, here, just a quick run through so you understand where I'm coming from with this, all right? When there's a frequency applied, you are knocked out of your harmonic balance. Your body has this same thing, right? You're supposed to be an electromagnetic being. Your feet are on the earth is what it's supposed to be. The sun is what charges your body. That current runs through you cyclically, right? So, colony collapse disorder with the bees. Remember with 3G, 4G came out into 5G. The trees started getting the boreworms. Everybody that's been following me has heard me say this before, probably, right? But the boreworms, right? Grass. When a cow eats grass, it puts off a pheromone. That pheromone is a product of its cellular composition, right? So the grass will emit this odor. The cow will eat a small patch of grass and move on, right? The grass gets to stay alive. Cow gets fed, but the cow moves on and goes somewhere else because there's a pungent smell there. You cut your grass, you smell that odor. That's the grass communicating with each other. So same thing in trees. And why are these trees just dying out of the blue? Oh, well, it's just physical disease. There's germs climbing up. It's those boreworms. The boreworms wouldn't be there as a parasite to start if that tree was able to defend itself harmonically, right? If it was in a good harmonic state of health. This is why like electroculture and all that works, you know, as far as like putting a copper coil around a stick and sticking it into the root system of the plant. That happens because you're drawing etheric energy directly into the soil. You're charging the electrolytes in the ground. The bacterium wants to stay there, right? The bacterium is what's holding the water together. So if there's aluminum dropping down into the soil, take some aluminum dust, pour it into your plants at your house, watch how long they get to live, especially if there's radio frequency with this reactive metal inside the root system. They're going to die, right? They're spraying aluminum forever now, right? So that resonant energy, where is it coming from, right? That's knocking that tree out of balance harmonically. That's frequency and all these different devices that are, you know, in the terahertz ranges probably by now, right? But so that pheromone, you know, again, that tree can't produce the pheromone that would ward off that parasite. Suddenly the tree can't produce that anymore. Back in the 80s with diabetes, right? The pancreatic functional cells, right, produces insulin for the, you know, sugar, whatever, with the liver, right? Glucose, breaking down glucose and all that stuff. But when did that start? That was in the 80s. Every, you know, as far as kids, like up to the age of 12, there was a study and they did, every year, diabetes has doubled since microwave ovens have started being used inside of homes, like commercially, like across the board. So that's a big thing. Hello, Heather, how are you? So that's just one way of looking at everything, right? We live in these bands of, you've got frequencies around you all over the place, bouncing off every wall inside of your house, right? And so I just want to explain how I understand it. And you don't have to agree, you don't have to disagree. Don't say anything if you don't have anything decent to say. But it's a pretty serious thing at this point, and everybody should realize that. And that's all I'm trying to do, right? That's all Sabrina Wallace is trying to do, the same thing. You might not like her delivery, you might not like her personality, and you might not like the way she looks, but she's doing something that's positive for the people to understand, right? It's real shit what she's talking about. The wide body area network or the wireless body area network, it is an antenna for your body, right? That brings in frequency. It's not false. That isn't false, right? So there is a computer attached to that now. Remember when they were saying people vaccinated are now showing a Bluetooth signal? I can prove that to you. If you live near me and you want me to prove it to you, I will take you for a walk somewhere where there is no Wi-Fi with only you, me, and my phone, and I can tell you how many shots and boosters you had. I'll do that for you. And this is no lie. This is no joke. It's not a game. They've turned people into devices so they become nodes. They can be read. They also provide their own wide body area network, which used to be a 6-foot social distancing bubble naturally. Now that's 25 to 35 feet wide. Why? Because it gathers up all of the devices around it. And so proximity data in a smart analysis system, right? Everything wanting to be smart inside your home or wherever, right? I mean, like, I don't know how people... So anyway, going back to the diabetes and microwave ovens in the house, they were blaming it on all kinds of things. They were saying these different kinds of sugars are the reason for it, and it's synthetic sugar, and it's this kind of sugar, and it's all these different whatever. It's all bullshit. Not, so it's not the chemicals that are. The chemicals need, like almost every chemical is reactive, right? And the reactivity of the chemical is based on a specific range of frequency, right? It's like heating up a piece of glass to a point where it would melt, right? So like even gasoline, right? It's got what they call it. I think that's the melting point, not the melting point. I can't remember what they call it, gasoline, but you can get so cold with gasoline, it won't ignite anymore, right? Freeze point, flash point, something like that. I think it's the flash point, right? So, thanks, Bart. You're all the way over in Holland. That's awesome, man. I'm glad you got those things to work, dude. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Get them to your neighbors. I'm telling you, they work, and get them to your neighbors. This shit that they're doing is, so now that the cells have been vibrated out of their harmonic balance, right, in your pancreas, diabetes doubles every year since like 1980. I did this research a couple years ago, maybe a few years ago. But why, right? They can't produce the thing that's necessary to make the sugar not be a harmful product, right? It wasn't a problem in the 70s. So that frequency and the things that are reactive to any particular frequency, let's say we put aluminum in the body, and we add an FM radar band of frequency, and we're listening to our favorite rock station as a kid, thinking it's no big deal. I'm telling you, these are all 1-2 punches. They inject you with one thing, and there's a reactivity to another thing, right? While that thing is in your body, you know? Got 3 more. How are they working, Bart? That's what I'd love to know that. So, you know, I pulled this open. I really only bought it so I could learn what things were in the periodic table, right? Like, I've gone to this page a billion times specifically, but I just opened it up and flipped it, right? And there's a lot more to it, right? I'm no chemistry genius, believe me when I tell you, but I can tell you that everything has a level of reactivity. Now, I'm just opening this to this page. I've never even seen it before, but there's a page called reactions, okay? Chemical reaction is when reactants comprising of one or more element or compound are converted into new substances known as the products. During the reaction, chemical bonds are broken and reformed, resulting in products that are more stable than the reactants. Okay, and so if we're taking in strontium, barium, aluminum, and frequencies are being applied, right? So it's basically like everything is like a radioactive isotope, right? Everything is vibration, everything. Can I throw a meow in at the end of a sentence like Super Troopers just because? I don't know what the hell that means, dude. Anthony, damn. Are you a bot, man? Beat it if you're a bot. So, it's just if you look up a periodic table, it's a periodic table book. I actually got it, but it's loaded. I have so my buddy that used to live next to me, he had a PhD from Cornell, and he was a biochemist, and he said, get it, you know, he didn't even recommend that I got this book. I said, I need to understand like how these chemicals and shit are all working together, because I started in on the barium thing with him one day, as far as like how it makes the cells hydrophobic. And you know, the biggest problem with Americans today is dehydration. Why is that? Because your cells are hydrophobic. Why? Because you're being sprayed the fuck with barium and strontium, right? It's always there since the 80s. They've been finding this in soil samples in places that nobody's ever touched, you know. So how else does it get there, man? Right? So, oh, all right, Anthony, thanks. But, all right, so there's catalysts, energy out, activation, energy, right? Every reaction has an energy barrier to overcome before they start, right? This is it, back to the plate thing, right? The bigger the crumbs I have, the lower the vibration necessary to move them around. The smaller the crumbs I have on that paper plate that I put on the speaker, like the salt that rubs off the side of the potato chips, right? The smaller the thing, the higher in frequency I have to go to make those jump around on the plate. That's a very simple way of looking at it, right? So let's say that plate now is a cell. So the higher I go in frequency, I can start to affect the outer shell of that cell, right? The zinc or the whatever, making it permeable, right? Like when they came out with 1G, right? Cellular technology. That means they finally reached a frequency band that can penetrate or break down the cellular wall, or penetrate the cellular wall and affect the inner contents, right? So that's what that is, activation energy. Okay, every reaction has an energy barrier to overcome before they start. This activation energy is normally supplied by heating the reactants. So what is heat? It's vibration, friction, you know, anything like that, right? How do you mix chemicals together, right? You need heat. How do you put your favorite soup together in your house? Constantly stirring it, right? You're watching steam, right? So I do know for a fact that the metal is in our soils due to plants I've grown and tried to dry them quick in the microwave. The metal, yeah. Yeah, it's no joke, man. Angela Ridgway, hi. Good, glad you're here, man. So, you know, again, like you can go and pick up books and self-educate, right? Or self-comprehend. I don't like the word educate. I think that's, you know, we're doing a piss poor job of doing that with our kids these days. So now that the activation energy is there, right? We're talking about a Rife machine on my body. How do I induce a specific feeling or resonant energy that purifies, right? So if I take a screen and I put all those chips on that screen and I shake that screen around a lot, right? The smaller pieces are going to fall back. Well, what does it require though? Is that movement, right? So energy out. Breaking a chemical bond during a reaction releases energy, which is used to make new bonds in the products. If the new bonds require less energy than was released, the reaction gives out the spare heat. It is exothermic, right? Exothermic is how the cloudbusters work. It's an exothermic reaction. However, exothermal reaction. However, and that's the, you know, so the catalyst is the contact of the steel wool and the copper, right? In that exothermal reaction. The negative ions are inducted into the copper, propagated upward and outward, right? So, self-teacher. However, some reactions are endothermic. They give out less heat than was put in, and so the products are very cold. Okay, so again now, summertime, cloudbusters work like a champ. Wintertime, there's no connectivity with the ground. Everything is shrunk up. The conductivity between electrolytes is not there now because the ground is all froze up. Electricity doesn't flow through ice as well as it does through water, right? So the moisture in the ground, the electrolytes, everything is frozen up and stiff. So you'd have to increase the temperature in the soil as a part, right? Not just the soil, but also in the paint can where that exothermic reaction happens, right? So the catalyst is a substance that takes part in a reaction but is not used up by it. Its role is to reduce the activation energy so that the reaction occurs more easily. And so in the paint cans, you have these fibers between, right? The wood fibrous. Here we go again, the fucking word. I can't stand when this happens to me, man. So the wood is made of a fibrous material. I can't think of the freaking word. This is the second time this happened. I tried to bring it up last time. I've said it before a lot, but it's absorbent. It picks up the moisture around the can and it uses the water, you know, in a more controlled fashion in this process of inductance, right? The negative ions and all that stuff. Not lignin. Lignin is a good part of it, but it's not the lignin. No, lignin is that's in the plants, right? It's not lignin. Oh, Jesus. It's such a simple word. Like termites will only go after a specific type of frequency, I can't think of it, man. I cannot think of it. And I've used this word a billion times in my life. It's just been, no, not that. I can't think of what it is. So that's annoying, man. That's the stuff that annoys the shit out of me. All right, so that is just one part of it, right? That's just one part of what I'm trying to say here, meaning that there's like, you know, there's a reactivity and there's a compound. It's not cork. It's a word kind of like fibrous, like homosode or not homosode. Homosode is a material, but I can't think of the word, but cork would be that material. It all cellulose, right? So a cellulose material is necessary. So if you buy the hot hands heaters, right, the little things you break up and you rub them together. So the catalyst, right, that's the catalyst is the cellulose material, And because it controls the conductivity, it controls the reactivity, and it delivers it all in a tempered fashion, right? So yeah, fibrous. But it needs to be something normal and natural, right? So the hot hands thing, they take copper pellets, iron pellets or iron oxide, right? No, you're close. You guys are all close, but I finally figured it out. Thanks, Gil. Oh my gosh. Heavy metal music makes termites eat the wood much faster. Wow, that's a pretty wild thing to go. Hi, niece Don. Yeah. So the other part of that is they grind up a whole bunch of paper and they throw it in with that stuff. And once you start rubbing this stuff together, it ends up, it's cellulose material. Cellulose was the word that I was looking for, just so you guys know. But that's like all kinds of different things, but usually some kind of organic thing, like made of wood or plant material or something like that. Cellulose, yeah. So that's how the hot hands things work, right? Like you can actually make a cloud buster work with one of those hot hands things. Just pour all that shit down inside of here from those hot hands packets, right? Make sure you have a grounding rod and crystals at the base of all of these pipes about right here, right? That's it. Stick it inside of a paint can. Control the temperature with a, some form of insulator, right? I think wool would work better than anything else because that's also organic, right? But it would maintain the temperature on the inside, and you'll get more longevity out of it and whatever. But so you don't need to use steel wool or anything. This isn't really what I'm getting into here today, but so now. You're talking about this wide area body network, right? And like what's really happening here. The people online, right? Like I like to keep my finger on the pulse of how people are behaving. Like I just scroll through posts, I read comments, and if you notice, they don't put the timestamps on videos anymore because that's an important thing. Like you'll be watching a video from 5 years ago thinking it's brand new. I don't know how many people come on my lives and they're like, "Hey, what's up? How are you?" And I'm like, I did that like 5 freaking days ago, like, why are they acting like it's alive right now, So, what is that? Turbo paint can, yeah. So, increasing the flow of the electrons, yeah, these are magnets, they're all posed in opposite directions. So this one would be south down, this one's north down, this one's south down. This one's bringing them all together, and then these monsters. I'm trying to get the best readings I can, right? Look at the size of them fucking things. But, bringing all that together in a way that it would make electrons flow more outward, right? But you need magnets for things like this, and copper, right? Because you can control the flow of the electrons. So, yeah, Turbo is right. I've been playing. I've got 3 different prototypes of that thing. The one I had in my yard, I put it out there. It was killing these things, the clouds, and then out of nowhere, it just stopped working. But they were spraying some kind of different shit. It was stickier. It was hanging lower. It was much thicker. You could taste it almost. Your lungs felt shitty after it. Be sure to call him to supper. That's right, man. I'm actually planning. I was just talking about that with somebody. I'm planning on taking a 3-day water fast, and like I'm just watching so much stuff about parasites. It doesn't mean the parasites aren't a problem, So the first guy initially that brought that up, it's a good thing to bring up, but it's not the parasites. Right? The parasites wouldn't be there if I was brought into electromagnetic harmony, right? Like, why are people at the beach always so goddamn healthy, right? They're always grounded. They're always in the sunshine, So, now my bigger point here, right? We're being sprayed with graphene. They're putting graphene in our fucking toothpaste, right? These fuckers are poisonous. Number one, like, automatically right there, it's an enemy for everybody, right? No matter who you are, right? If you work for the government, they're spraying your mother with this shit. They're spraying your grandfather, your grandchildren, your mom, your dad, right? They're spraying everybody around you with essentially a radioactive isotope. There's something in here I saw. It said radioactive isotopes and how they. So those are important, right? Because they're reactive. Man, I got to go through this book. All right, so here's a part of this book on reactivity, right? Chemical reactions are driven by an element attempting to fill or empty its outer electron shell. Nonmetals do this by adding electrons taken from other atoms, while metals give away their outer electrons. The most reactive elements are the ones that give away electrons and add new ones most readily. Electronegativity, I'm not going to go into reading all that stuff. I mean, most people would probably be completely turned off by it, right? But reactivity is an important thing, right? Aluminum is in your body, it's reactive, right? That is an isotope. So, we're suffering since the 70s with all kinds of cancers and everything, right? So now that that's graphene, you're talking about whatever that, some type of poison is, some type of element, some type of chemical, some type of something physical that is reactive, right? That's why you're getting the barium, you're getting the strontium, the chlorine in your fucking water, the fluoride, right? They are actively doing this stuff. They're caught, right? Everybody knows that they are caught, right? And they know that the gig is up and everybody's pissed, right? And everybody's sitting around and bitching about all the other people that might have a dick or whatever, right? Like I'm Shane the influencer, paid by the CIA to come here and tell you how you're supposed to think, right? So that's what I want to talk about. How did all these people fall into such low energy, low vibe, bullshit things? I'll explain. You've got graphene in your brain. You've got it on your skin, right? There is a constant flow of energy or frequency around you at all times, right? So these devices, right? These devices are a part of that. So I'm going to read you. And now listen, I use AI. Again, I said that I think already. I don't know. But I use AI only because I don't give a fuck about what happens to me with these assholes at this point, right? I use it at my own risk. Okay, so I don't want to hear any of that stuff. I can't wrangle all of these different thoughts on these subjects. I can harness them, bring them all together, and give a good, solid presentation of what this all means, right? So I'm going to tell you what, previous to this video, what I just asked this thing sitting here and reading myself. So my question was basically, if I needed to lock somebody into a specific mode of thought, it would have to be the alpha and like you're most suggestible in the alpha and theta brain wave states. Okay, remember the delta variant, the delta wave of the brain, right? So I asked about neuromodulation. Where does it come from? What places are using it, right? I asked directly. I did lead it a little bit, but it gave me the answer of AirPods could definitely be used in that fashion, right? Who are the technologists that are working on that stuff? I don't know. That work for Apple. I don't know. All that stuff is produced in South Korea and China for a reason, right? There's no Americans there and say, yo, that's pretty fucked up to be putting that kind of stuff in this technology. That's going to be attached to some kid's head somewhere, right? The Chinese don't give a shit. The North Koreans don't fucking care. Anybody in Thailand or Tibet, they don't give a fuck what you're putting on your head if you're in America. They just made 12 cents on putting that shit together, right? That's why they've offloaded all of these different types of things to these different countries, right? Your internet goes to Canada. Your food supply is coming from Amazon, right? With whatever in it. I'll guarantee you, like 90% of the things you're getting from Amazon as a governmentally funded project, Jeff Bezos and all that stuff, right? The CIA shit, his family members associated with them. But graphene, it's not a joke now, right? You can look it up yourself. Just Google it, right? Don't argue with me. Don't look at me and say the guy's fucking crazy. All he talks about is graphene and da-da-da-da-da. Go look the shit up. Go look it up. Google your favorite product. Put graphene at the back of it. See what happens. Your water company where you live is using graphene as a filtration system. It attaches itself and it bonds itself to water molecules, okay? So this is the answer that it gave me. I asked it about neuromodulation. What brainwave state would we have to be in To entrain a mind into a false narrative or brainwash someone, specific frequency bands can be used to influence brainwave states. Okay, so just as we're talking about frequency on the outside of us from radio waves, every bit of all of it travels through the water that is inside of your body. Your cells, same thing. Okay? For example, AirPods and other audio devices can be used to deliver binaural beats, which can influence brainwave patterns and potentially alter states of consciousness. Binaural beats are also integrated into wellness apps, streaming services, right? This is the stuff that all of the holistic people that are after homeostasis, right? The people that want to be super healthy, how do you target all of them? You sell them a bunch of shit that has this type of technology in it, right? You want a terahertz wand and a red light therapy that's made of LED, optogenetics, cell fucking reconfiguration and expression, right? That's what this shit is all about. That's what all these different types of frequencies and all of their lower big potato chips and higher little crumbs of potato chips, right? Every single frequency has an effect on the mass in your body, including the water, right? So I don't fucking care who wants to argue with me about that shit. You're a fucking idiot if you want to argue with that. So that's primary in all things. The light that you wake up and look at, it's been there for a billion years. It's probably one of the original sources of vibrant energy, right? Or resonant value, so, and I don't mean to be combative. It's just, people are just now starting to get this. You got people for 5 years talking about this. So you must be fucking crazy. You must be fucking crazy. I'm going to tell you why, though. I'm going to tell you why. So, I'm going to reread that so you can understand. For example, AirPods and other audio devices can be used to deliver binaural beats, which can influence brainwave patterns and potentially alter states of consciousness. Binaural beats are also integrated into wellness apps, streaming services, and social media platforms, making them easily accessible to a wide audience. So, streaming services. Let's think about this. Remember the movie? There was a movie just came out, like Left Behind or Leave the World Behind. There was some dude that was like a movie audio specialist, right? He would take the tracks and realign the tracks to the right, but he was able to separate the different tracks of the movie, and he said, I never saw this before, right? He was analyzing all the new movies coming out. He's like, I never saw this before. There's usually one for the things added in and one for the actual audio. I don't know what this other one is. I've never seen that before. Why are there 3 bands of different frequencies? One is the actual audio, one is the things that you work into it, and then the third one, what the hell could that be? These. Okay? That's 2 or 3 years ago I watched about that. When that movie came out, this video came up and I watched this guy talking about it. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I understand the binaural beats thing because of the Rife machine stuff, okay? So that affects the brainwave state, right? So you don't understand what these fucking things are, right? What they're actually doing. To restrict their availability to the neural pathways of your brain, it's a good idea at this point. The router in your house, if you can't sleep, shut that fucker off at night, right? Your kids will sleep better. Your dog will be healthier. Your brain will work better. Keep it away from your head while you're sleeping. So the application of these frequencies in everyday life is becoming more common, with teachers in California schools using pre-class entrainment to boost test scores by 12%. Okay? How are they doing that? 963, the God frequency, the crown chakra, right? To increase by 12% cognitive ability, IQ, right? This indicates that the technology is not only being studied, but also implemented in practical settings to influence cognitive states and performance. In summary, beta and gamma frequency bands are crucial for entraining a mind into a specific narrative. And recent studies from institutions like the University of Buffalo and Zagazig University have... What the hell is Zagazig? I never even heard of that. That sounds ridiculous. That must be like one of those online things you do, like Last Chance. have contributed to our understanding of how these frequencies can be applied. The technology is increasingly being integrated into everyday devices and educational settings, reflecting its growing influence on cognitive modulation. Right? So your kid is in school, hey, the earth is round, right? You're trapped in a mode of thinking. So initially, the way they did this, you sit there, you be afraid. Don't you do that, Mr. Rapaski. You're going to end up in trouble. I'm going to tell your father, whatever. Yes, ma'am, right? And you sit in your school seat, just scared to death, right? So you sit there and you take on whatever information. So they put you in a low, responsive state of mind, right? And this is the way that it all goes with like, KGB shit, right? They've been doing this forever. This is all psychology. They've known since ancient Egypt. They've been working on this stuff. That's how long all this shit's been around. I'm going to turn this around and I'm going to just show you what I wrote down. So you think it's so everybody's making these jokes about this Sabrina Wallace, right? She is fucking sharp, man, and I don't care what anybody says. She'll give you the college books, the college papers. She'll give you the data sets. She'll tell you exactly what those Bluetooth signals are that are coming off of your body now because you have been made into a device, right? You should be fucking pissed off and paying attention right now. If you've gotten that shit in your body or your kid joined the military, or your kid was in college, oh, I had to do it. My kid had to do it. They need to be a part of society, right? No, they don't, right? So everybody should be pointing their, so to speak, guns at who, right? Buffalo, digital drugs is basically what it falls into, right? It's a digital drug. It's a frequency-based thing. What happens when you put a chemical in your body? It vibrates at a specific resonant field or frequency, right? So how does it affect the body after it's absorbed? All of it requires some form of vibration, of energy to be absorbed, to be utilized, or right? So digital drugs. I can put myself into a sense of relaxation by a specific tone of music. When I'm streaming music off of YouTube, I don't trust it. The whole 440 hertz, 432 hertz, I won't listen to that for any extended period of time, right? Because it will put me into a brainwave state that I don't really feel like being in, right? If I want to be in a suggestible state, I'll be reading a book if I'm there, right? So I know that these things work this way. You play a frequency and you make the calcium deposits built up on your joints that are causing you arthritic pain because you took too much fluoride, which forced your body to absorb more calcium than it's supposed to, and I matched the resonant field of that calcium, and it it falls apart, right? It degrades, it falls apart on its own due to matching that resonant field of the calcium, right? But I have to get right there. So reactivity and all this stuff with chemicals, permeability, all of these different kinds of things are based on, all right, so it's got to go through the skin first, right? And this goes into the 369 thing, right? Same thing, it's different values or different compound of frequency, right? Harmonious to the body, 3, 6, and 9. So 9 and 9, if I double that, it's all in octaves, right? Double that, 18, right? That's 9. 1 plus 8, 36, 9, right? It's different harmonies. So the higher I go in octaves for the number 9, 9 times 9, I have 81, right? Still equals 9. But now I'm in a higher band of frequency, right? It still equates to 9 on the digital square root. This is what I'm always trying to explain about the 3, 6, and 9. I don't do a very good job of it because it's not about the woo-woo New Age Christ consciousness shit. That's not what it's about. It was simply a method of addressing that there are 9 fields of energy, right? Is that 5? There are 9 fields of energy, or pulses per second, or cycles per second as you measure hertz, right? So if this is 9 hertz and it does something on the outside of my skin, but I need to penetrate the skin to get at the cells in the blood or the veins or the nerves, right? I would have to double that, right? So now I would have to be at 18 or 36 to break through the skin barrier. This is what they did with cellular technology. They were able to break through the skin at a higher frequency that equates to essentially the same frequency. So I hope that you can understand what I'm saying by this. The more you increase frequency, the effects are pretty much the same. So like 10,000 hertz for my eyes on a Rife machine. It also, to correct glaucoma, muscular problems, and the other one was cataracts. Like I see this fog every morning when I wake up. I haven't used it in a couple of months, which I probably should. I wouldn't be wearing the glasses. I corrected this last time, honestly. But 10,000 hertz, that's the same frequency in light energy from the sun. So the sun is electromagnetically measures at 528 hertz. In the values of light, somewhere way up the field, right, it equates to 9. But 10,000 hertz and 20,000 hertz, right? It's the octaves that keep on being doubled over and over and over again. These are the ones these are all of the numbers that go into the whole golden ratio, right? Or phi, or the divine proportion, right? These are incredibly important in the way these frequencies hit in your body. Well, guess what they're hitting you with when the frequencies come out of these machines? Every other fucking number you could think of. 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, and 8 are the ones that you get hit with. 7 is a different kind of number. That one is also, if you break them down and they end up being a 7 number through the digitized square root, right? 7 is essentially God, right? That's a representation of God. It's all right. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? This is going esoteric. You might not understand it, but just try to stick with me. This is the old alchemists, right? Where do the shapes for these numbers come from? Harmony is what the ancient Egyptians called the number 6. That was harmony, or a balance in things, right? G looks a lot like that, right? But the 9, like a lowercase g, looks an awful lot like the same. This shape is the 9 that will always go back to itself. There's a reason that they use that. 9 is God. This is hard. I don't want to spoil what I'm trying to explain here by saying this. Because most people get turned off. Oh, that's fucking witchcraft stuff. This is modern day magic in your devices. They understood frequency forever, right? The people that are doing this shit, they are the Rosicrucians, right? The Knights Templar, the Knights of Malta, the Freemasons, right? This is real stuff. They've known this forever. This is the modern day alchemists and all of that stuff. They've understood this stuff forever. What do you think all the secrets are about? How do I maintain spiritual purity? And how do I stay healthy in my own existence, right? That's why those books are so important, right? You want to read some cool shit? Look up the occult philosophy of Henry Cornelius Agrippa. You got to see this stuff, man. It will blow your mind. So the point that I'm getting at is 7 is actually that. So that's the God number, right? 7th heaven and all that stuff. The reason for this is what the ancient Egyptians called the Heka staff. And the Heka staff, the name of it was called the was scepter. Just like we say the word was used to be. The was scepter. Look it up if you don't want to listen to me talk about it, okay? The was scepter. It was the head of a dog. And this was the representation for Egyptian magic. What was Egyptian magic? Energy, frequency, and vibration. The Christians call that black magic, right? But the Christians are the most indoctrinated versions of all of these different sects of religions, right? That was the first one to get the shit stomped out of their personal spirituality. God is outside. No offense to the Christians. I was Christian myself. I've learned things differently, right? It all stems from ancient Egypt, okay? So the was scepter is the 7. That was Egyptian magic. That was the spiral that is inherent in all things, all life, all organic life, right? And that's the thing on my hand. If my first bone, this equates to 1.618 is the golden ratio, okay? So 1.618 to 1 in all life. If I see an ocean wave and I take a picture of it, I can actually incorporate that math into that wave. It will always be there no matter what curvature I'm looking at, what part of the wave, it will be there in one way or another, right? So in your finger, if your first bone is 1 inch, your second bone is 1.618 larger than the first. Third, 1.618 larger. Your finger to your hand is 1.618 larger. Your wrist to your elbow is 1.618 larger than the size of your hand, right? Your ears, 1.618 larger, okay? So that is that spiral in all things. The ocean wave, the air that you move with your hands, right? This is practical knowledge. It's not just some bullshit witchcraft stuff, right? It's the stuff that's been held away from the masses forever. This is the information they've protected like nuclear launch codes for 5,000 years already. Why do the kings and queens know it? Why do all the noblemen know it? Why are they all Rosicrucians and Freemasons and blah, blah, blah? Anybody who's somebody is a Freemason, all that kind of shit. We take good men, we make them better men. All of those kinds of sayings, and the way that that all is not a lie. But it's to attain or search to be more than human. That's you're here as an animal. You are kept in your low vibrational state with fluoride, with chemicals, with garbage, junk, things, physical, right? Materialistic, right? That's how your brain works. And it's not by accident. You go to school, you go to church, this is what you learn. It's to train the brain to stay in the theta brainwave state, right? So what's happening to people right now, they're talking about, they're getting trapped up on all this stupid garbage. Oh, the fucking girl might think she has a dick, or she's a man, or whatever, right? Doesn't matter. What I'm saying to you here, that's valuable information, right? I've got a vagina. I'm Shane. I work for the CIA. I think you should know that before you listen to me any further. I mean, do you believe that? I've been doing everybody around my town. You think this stuff is easy, man? Right? Everybody around my town, they look at me sideways when they see me walking into a public place. They look at me sideways. I had all these friends in the local area for a long time, right? And I look like a fucking lunatic to them. They're about 50 years in the past of this stuff that we're trying to explain. I'm another 50 years behind Sabrina Wallace as far as the direct subject that woman is really doing a great job of explaining, right? So you might not like her, and, poor you. But I don't like Klaus Schwab. I don't like Yuval Noah Harari. I've read the things that they've written specifically so I can understand what they're doing and why they're doing what they're doing, right? We are feed. That's what they use us as. And they believe, because they know all of this stuff, that we don't deserve to go any further. We don't deserve to be of a higher mind, right? We don't deserve the opportunity to continually chase after a better life, right? You want to blame the Jews or the Republicans or the Democrats or the Christians or the Muslims. You want to blame all these different people. It's self-realization, man. You got to chase down this shit in yourself, right? I recognize Sabrina Wallace is doing a good job. She's doing very, very good things for people. Although they're having a hard time interpreting it, they need to do the work to get to where they can understand what it is she's trying to say. You might need to get to a place where you need to understand what I have to say. I might have to get to a place where I can understand what someone else has to say, right? I can tell you for sure, the politics led me away from being able to do this. The religions led me away from being able to see these kinds of things, And why? It's an entrainment thing, man. It's all neuromodulation. They just did it through words and books and bullshit math systems and lies about science and telling you the earth is a globe. If you can't get past the whole earth is a globe thing, you're fucked. You're never going to even know where you were supposed to start at. That's a hard thing for people to swallow. But you go and disprove. Just go disprove that the earth is a ball. If you believe that it is a ball, go and disprove that. You'll find a billion reasons how to do it, right? So the basis for the way that your brain works starts at something like that. That's why I always bring it up, because it's super important for the psychology. The way that your brain moves, the way that it works. It's based on what somebody else told you, that somebody else told that somebody else to teach you or train you into thinking. Your grandmother, your grandparents, right? Where did they come from? A communist country somewhere? Well, they were going to kill us if we didn't agree that the earth was a ball, Like, It's not your own brain that you're walking around with, man. You are a walking record of all the bullshit that's happened 5 or 10 generations before you, right? So your grandparents might be pounding into, my grandmother was a devout Catholic. By the time I was 5, 6, 7 years old, I understood God is what it is, and Jesus Christ is His Son, and all. I understand Catholicism, right? I understood it thoroughly by the age of 12. I heard all I needed to hear by the age of 12, and it's not there for you to find personal salvation. It's there for you to create a salvation for the people that have given it to you, right? It's an entrainment modality. That's what the whole thing is about, So if you can't get all this stuff, so my point is when you're looking, all right, the brain bots now got the shit in your brain, you got it in your bloodstream, right? And you are now more reactive, okay? You are more reactive. You've got a compound in your brain that is more like an antenna. It amplifies whatever that signal is that's permeating the liquid composition that your body is made of. Right? So all of that cymatic, system, right, is basically what it is to use vibration as a weapon against you. It's like, holy shit, that people can't see this, right? So you got that in your brains. You are now an antenna on steroids, okay? So the people that are being affected by the graphene in their deodorant that's going directly into their lymph nodes or into, the butter that you eat that has the natural cholesterol that is converted into myelin for the brain to consume and work most optimally on, right? You're taking in graphene left and right from everywhere. Your water companies are using these filtration systems. Go and fucking fight about this, man. It is a toxic thing. The outcome is it's drawing more static potential to your body and increasing oxidative stress, limiting your lifespan, increasing cancers, increasing tumors, creating a detriment that is going to be almost impossible for the whole population to fall away from. So you can listen to me. You can take it as a guide, right? But that's why these people are trapped up in that stupid little thing about Sabrina Wallace has a dick. Now you got to be fucking kidding me, man. These are the people that are supposed to be out here telling the truth, like, yo, we're the news. Well, you got to remove yourself if you want to be on any kind of stage that's worth people coming to see, right? Remove myself. I don't care what you think about me. I mean, I don't even care if I die tomorrow. Like, I care for my kids, right? Like, you got to understand the risk in doing all this stuff. I am digitally cataloged in every one of these fucking videos that I've made. Digitally cataloged. Facebook knows who I am. If you don't know who Facebook is, go and Google LifeLog. It was a DARPA program. It's to track and monitor and trace everything about you from fucking birth to death and all the people around you that you're always with. I'm at blah, blah, blah right now, and this is my favorite place. I go every Friday with these 3 friends I tagged. All right? It's a rap sheet, man. That's what Facebook is. They saw the weakness in, Americans. Look at how fucking stupid they are. They're telling everybody everything about their lives on MySpace. Holy shit. Right? What other country did you see doing that at the time? Like, nobody else was doing that shit. But that was the whole thing. We're so pumped up in our egos, we want to rub it in somebody else's face. Like, look, man, I got my fucking PhD. What did you do with your life, right? I was there trying to keep up with everybody else, right? Like, oh, look at my kids. They're beautiful, and I'm fucking working my ass off every day, but I don't show them that me and my wife would fucking beat the living hell out of each other if we had the opportunity, We fucking hate each other, That's all Facebook, right? But that's the way that we live, right? Is promoting this falsified, superficial, bullshit, synthetic fucking existence that they've held us at bay with, right? This is where we're at. We gotta fucking pretend to be something on social media. Like, that's the shittiest part about all of this stuff. That people are so much more wrapped into this than they are, just shut this fucking thing off, stop watching me, and go read a book. Learn this kind of stuff for yourself. Like, people don't do that. And the people that are here constantly stuck, they get fucking bored. All right, what's the next big story? There's no big story. There's no big story. Israel's being bombed by Iran. And that's the point that I was getting at. But, When you get bombarded with this stimuli, Iran and Israel, it's internet traffic. It's all monitored. What is the demographic data? What people believe this shit, which people don't, right? It's all aggregated. So there's a war in Iran right now. I don't think there is, man. I can't verify or validate that, but I don't think there is. I think every time some new calamity comes and strikes the population, they're measuring who is who, right? Well, these motherfuckers are smart, but these people here, they all took the brain sauce, and look how well it's working. They're fighting with all the people that can still actually see, right? And so invasion of the body snatchers is overtaking the rest of the population, slowly but surely, right? The more graphene you have in your body, the quicker that's going to happen, right? So you stop the markets on the graphene. That's the first answer. Second answer is go after the fuckers that started doing all this shit, however you can. In the banks, in their businesses, in their realms of existence, online, wherever, right? Render them obsolete. Make everything that they're doing not count for shit. You want a smart city in your backyard? You want a data center that's the source of gathering all of that data and putting it all together and leveraging it against itself, and who's who and where are they and how do we send the drones, right? Like, it's literally probably going to end up being something like that, you know? I can't say that it wouldn't. I cannot say that it wouldn't. I know for sure all the shit that I've read over the past 5 years. You ever see those, like, killer drones or whatever? The guy throws it up and he has a little model guy on a stage and he says, look, you can fucking fly up to that thing's head, send a 22 round straight into the forehead just far enough to break the brain, and, you know, god damn. I remember I was fucking terrified when I saw it. Like, wow, they're coming for me because I'm bitching about Joe Biden and the fucking Democrats have all this technology now, right? So what do you do when you're a Republican or a Democrat and the other side gets all that technology under their fucking thumb? Doesn't matter. One side or the other, you're supporting either, right? You're fucked by the other side when it's their turn, right? Like, we've been falling for this forever. Like, I'm blown away that nobody. And so now you've got people that are, you know, they say the truth. I'm not into a click thing, right? I'm my own little thing here, just analyzing and reading and figuring out what I can, you know. But I'm neutral in all of it. I'm in the middle. I'm in one train of thought. Like, yo, people need to see what the fuck I just uncovered. Like, wow, right? And when that stops being there, these other people, they need the clicks. They need the endorphins. They need the high. I need to do something that everybody's going to pay attention to. I'm bored. Sabrina Wallace has a fucking penis, right? That's what it turned out to be, right? The lady is fucking rock solid on every bit. She shows you, like, way better than I'm doing here, right? I'm talking about, like, nonsense. I forget to finish 50 sentences per live, right? She gives you one page after the other. Look, this is what this is. Brain body network, da-da-da-da-da, whatever. She shows you all of it. And what are people doing? Putting her down. Talking about biting the hand that feeds you. You have no idea what the fuck is going on in this world right now. If you're not watching that lady or reading into these kinds of things, you have no idea what's going on in this world right now. It is so much further advanced than you have any idea. And don't sit there and go, oh my God, what am I going to do about it though? Why should I even pay attention? Well, your kids are going to be fucking brain bent fucking retards in 20 years. They're not going to even know where they are, right? What do you think they meant when they said you'll own nothing and be happy? You know? So you got to start finding some form of passion, some form of ambition on, like, hey, these people have a good point. Look at the frequencies. Look at the things they're doing. What the fuck are those 5G towers capable of? What do you mean 6G and 10G? Why does it always got to be faster, bigger, harder, right? Like, yo, tone it down, guys, right? Start knocking these fucking towers down, man. Kill the data transmission stuff. Everything in your life. Your phone, the activity. You know, so I just felt like, you know, I think people should understand how susceptible you are to all of this shit, man. You know? So, frequency weapons and stuff. Yo, like, the stuff that they promote on the news. Did you see what they did to Venezuela? You know? You mean to tell me that's not propaganda? And again, you're in a specific brainwave state, man. It is madness what's going on. What's up, Liam? Yeah, she is awesome. You know, I can't knock her for anything. I mean, I remember the first time I opened one of her videos. That might be one of the. I just thought that she was abrasive right out of the gate. You know, like she's like, Jesus, she's fucking mad at me. She know I'm watching her. Like that's what it felt like at first. Like, you fucking idiots. But now she's sitting in a chair that swivels, right? And she'll turn. She looks like she's been doing this her whole life, right? She looks like the librarian that you walk in, has got her glasses down. Like, what the fuck do you want? You know, like that's what she looked like to me at first, right? She'll turn like this. This is the paper. You need to know this, okay? That's one. Screenshot it. Turns, gets the other thing, brings it, puts it in front of your face. Look, they tied you to the internet, right? For how many years has that lady done that? Right? She's fucking crazy. You're watching it happen right now. If you're fighting for the Democrats, if you're fighting for the Republicans, if you're fighting for Israel or anybody else, right? Jesus Christ. Grow the fuck up and recognize what's happening right now, man. You gotta grow past all of it, man. Just watch and listen. We better start planning fighting back. I mean, you don't even have to physically fight back. I mean, these people that are doing this shit are like, they're fucking skinny jean wearing, purple haired fucking gerbil stuffing fucking weirdos, really, right? The majority of them. Where's my latte? You know, like those kinds of fucking guys. You got to do something else, man. You got to do, like, they're the people that are running our fucking government agencies right now, right? Where did they come from? The mind fuckery from another country, right? We know which country, primarily as one of the catalysts, right? One of the, Jesus, man. So it's them getting you all worked up. Step back and look at it and chill and just keep your eye on the next thing happening. Yeah, I'm not worked up at all, man. I'm watching this stuff for years now, right? And like I feel experienced with it to a degree that, like, you're finally seeing it coming to fruition. And now that we can understand that it's here, people are still going to be calling people fucked up names and nobody's doing anything about it, right? You ran into a wall on the internet. Your following is just bored with you. You're not seeing the amount of likes and clicks and shit or whatever. You have a monetized account, right? Whatever. It's all slow. I just need something to throw out there. You know how many different people took my Cloudbuster videos and made money on that? There was millions and millions and millions of views on that one video about making the cloud disappear. But millions across. I mean, I must have seen 10 different people. Now, if I had a monetized account, right, they wouldn't be able to share those. There would be a copyrighted thing on that. My buddy explained that whole thing to me, right? So, data center cell phones should scare the hell out of everybody. But these guys are all made, like Shane Vibes, that's one of them, monetized account. He had my video on his thing. Resonate 369, he had it on his, right? They had tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of views in some cases, right? But why do those guys go and put that video on there? There's something driving them to look at this one's worth paying attention to, right? Everybody watch, but they're either, maybe they're not monetized. I don't know, right? But the point is, they're doing it with an ulterior motive, right? They would not be able to do that if I was monetized. So I'm just trying to I'm trying to verify with you that I'm not doing it to make money, right? I wish I could do it full time, but that would require money. If I did it and I depended on it for money, right, then I might be susceptible to the same thing that these people are doing. Well, I make about $20,000 a month when my content is really good. I better go out and look for some new stuff, So now that I got a big following, maybe I should do blah, 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 right? And I would love to be able to depend on it, right? And be able to, for it to definitely be there, right? I would love to have people go with me and do a nationwide sweep on, in fire halls and, gathering areas, bars, pavilions, whatever, right? Just like, wake up and look at what we're trying to tell you here. Like, take 10 good people that are doing the same thing that I'm doing or Sabrina Wallace is doing and go on tour. She's going on tour right now. She's going to teach people, play games like fucking Jeopardy about what's the government really doing? That's brilliant shit, man. And these people are putting that lady down, Give me so much new information. Thanks so much. You're welcome, Tom. Yeah, it's just so... I'm very passionate about it only because I'm so passionate about it because I understand it now, right? Like I understand it inside out now. She understands it 3 times better than I do, right? The technology side of it, right? When I'm into all the esoteric, Rudolf Steiner, Rosicrucian, Freemason, fucking black magic, Luciferianism, and understanding all these ancient gods and how it all worked, right? Like I'm into the surface level stuff on all of these topics, right? I understand. I've gone far enough to understand how all of those are relevant in the way that we live today, right? All of those are relevant. Ancient Egypt, absolutely relevant. Why can't we go underneath the pyramids? Because they would tell you that we created the stars in the waters above, right? That's why you're not allowed under the pyramids. And I don't give a fuck what anybody says. You call me crazy. I'm telling you, I've read stuff and I've seen stuff and I've matched stuff up and I've aligned the stars with these different monuments and all kinds of shit that would blow your fucking mind if the algorithms would have pumped this stuff into your feed for you to see. As soon as I said outer space was water, my Facebook blanked out and fucking died, right? They didn't know what to do. I just watched my whole fucking live dump out and drop down to like 5 people. I don't know, even 50, 60, 80 people, whatever the number was, doesn't matter. Dropped right down to like 3 or 4 viewers all at one time. As soon as I said outer space is water and the stars are blah, 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 right? So, need to start a website for barter and trade. That's a good idea. I mean, the big thing is finance, right? Putting money back into the hands of the people. Not the people with all the money already. Those are the ones you have to render useless, right? The militaries, they're being paid in these monies that they think are, right? We'll give you $50,000 if you go shoot that guy, right? Once the military sees through the bullshit too, right? Everybody's fucked. Why do they pound them into the ground and shave their head and steal their identity, right? Knock them into the dirt and make you're not nothing until you become a Marine, like why do they do that? Why do they do that way? It's to break that person down. They do it in every military in every fucking country, right? So it's to knock the humanity out of you, man, right? That's what the whole thing is about. You lose your soul. You lose your spirit. Yes, sir, right? And not to say I don't appreciate the people that have thrown themselves into that mix, because they've gone to war thinking they were helping America out. This is the great geopolitical move. We're defending America, right? You're not defending America. You're fucking stealing somebody else's country, man. That's what you're really doing, right? That's the truth behind it, right? And they don't get that. They don't understand that. They were young when they got involved. They have a really hard time looking outside of the way that their brain has been smashed down into a fucking tight tunnel of information, So, yeah, they demoralize them. And it's just so... Anyway, I just wanted everybody, let me see if I grab a energetic projections, no worry, no fear, one namesake. Oh, fear is another big thing, right? So also is love, right? Fear. What the hell, I was having a thing I was thinking about last night. Fear, once you're in that state of mind, that's when you're most moldable, right? You are at your most malleable state when you are afraid of something, right? I'm at a point, like, if they show up at my front door with guns and black vans and Suburbans and a fucking couple of helicopters up over me or whatever, they being DARPA, whoever, right? The fucking Chinese are coming. They sent the drones. Like, I've already written it off, like, 5 years ago. COVID was the attack on me. It was an attack on my kids. I couldn't do anything about it, right? At that point, my life ended. The life of me enjoying myself and all that. This is a literal fucking war, people. You got to understand that. It is a literal war. It's to steal your conscious faculties out from under you so you don't even know that you have been usurped. The government has been non-existent since fucking Trump the last time. That's the facts. That's the way that I see it. Why would they border off with concrete barriers the entire White House? Why'd that ever happen? That's just ridiculous. We're the United States, and there's people that are still stuck in this alpha and theta brainwave state, right? Where it's just sit here and watch this thing, it's telling me what I need to be punching out of my mouth all the time, and so that's the danger in all of it, man. But, you have to get back to love, and, love is that's what I'm doing all this for, right? I can say that I love Sabrina Wallace. I can say that I love Dawn Christine or my mother or my children. I love these people, right? I love humanity as it is. I don't like the idea that somebody's got a leash around my neck just as much as I don't like the idea of having to put a leash on my dog's neck, right? Same kind of thing, right? That freedom is being yanked out from underneath you. And while we watch farm animals suffering, you got to start to think to yourself, like, is it right that we're killing animals and doing all this stuff? And you go and you read the ancient Egyptian texts on what their diet was, with a little bit of fish here and there, right? And you find out, like, wow, how come the Jewish people don't fucking eat the way we do? Right? Their shit doesn't have any poison in it, right? Like, how did it all work out that way? Because they've commandeered all of those spiritual practices to maintain their spiritual purity and give us all this other shit, you know? So, but I guess I'm done, man. I didn't want to get ripping for a really long period of time. But you have to understand all these things, man, right? Like this stuff on a broad scale. If you want to understand, like, pick up a book like this, right? Figure out what is the reactivity. What is it with all of the frequency stuff? What is the chemistry that's happening inside of your body? What's the, this not biochemical, but biophotonic interchange, right? There's specific frequencies of light that your body is supposed to have inside, right? This is reactivity. Different colors, right? So it's spectral photospectral or spectral photo, human body elements, density is a big part of all this shit too, is another part of it. What the hell was this thing? There was a thing in here I saw before, it was spectra. So the color frequencies, the ranges of those frequencies for specific elements, they put off a specific color, right? Some more than others. So in combination with different things. So what are the stars if they're out in the water, right? Different chemical compositions or different radiant values of a vibrational frequency that has been trapped in a bubble that has been created, however, right? Like, so that's what I believe the stars are, right? A wandering star. What is a planet? The planets are the gods. Venus, Rome. They were men on earth at one time. They thought of themselves as gods, right? This is a wild concept, but how do you put the gods into the heavens and the cosmos, which means the divine arrangement of things, right? How do you put them up there and call them planetes, right? The wandering stars, the one that is out of alignment with all the rest of the stars. It's a little bit further out there, deeper into the ocean. It's of a different color, right? One of the ones of the rainbow, the 7 natural things, the 7 natural laws of life, as the Rosicrucians would say. 7 being God's number, the hecastaff, the one thing that lives in all things, right? Is God. The spirit, the soul, the fabric to organic existence, the fabric of nature. That's it. That is, God is everywhere. God is in everything, right? That's why they say it through all the different religions and stuff, you know. But I'm telling you, when you start to take the spiritual journey and the philosophical journey and the science journey and the theosophical journey and the, whatever, any of these different topics, and you start to blend them together, like, as a polymath would, the people that, what do they call them, right? Like a Renaissance man type of thing, right? Like, take on as much as you can, but I can't learn this much about math and not that much about science and not that much about astronomy, right? Because I'm going to outweigh myself and create an imbalance in the way that I'm learning things. So if I'm math strong and I'm science light, there's an imbalance there. So that's what the 7 liberal arts are all about. Go and get some books on the 7 liberal arts. It will help to train your mind to think more freely. You'll understand that you're not bound to this earth as physical only. You'll learn that you came from the light, right? The light is what put the consciousness in the brain. The light is what returns to the heavens. I am the light. I am the way, right? There is no way to God but through me, right? So all your Christian teachings, it's not that they're invalid or they don't count, right? It's just that they've been misinterpreted through a physical mindset because you haven't done the work to purify yourself in these esoteric kind of things, right? So once you reach that level of, that's a level of freedom, right? You're in a place now, you're like, wow, I was such a thick-headed, whatever. I mean, that's where I'm at, I was so dumb. Everything was physical, Can't get organic clothes or food here. Go naked, Annie. Shane's one heck of an earth angel. Thanks. Sent to save humanity. Well, you know, I always make that joke about Christianity, right? Like, Jesus Christ was a carpenter. My friend said that to me. People, you know, I said, he's just not as good a carpenter as me, you know? And, you know, I made, like last week, I said, you know, I happen to be a carpenter. My mother's name is Mary, you know? If you go through Rosicrucianism, right? And so basically what I'm looking for right now through all of this stuff is the path, right? I'm on the path. And, you know, that path is to become the Word, to, you know, all the things that Jesus said, right? And when you dig a lot deeper than the Bible tells you to, right, you find out that historically Jesus existed in the Greek times, not the Greco-Roman times. He was a Gnostic Essene. This is what I've learned. You don't have to agree. I don't fucking care. If you want to attack me and bash me over the head with a crucifix, go ahead. But do it in a message. Don't do it on here. But he was a Gnostic Essene, and they believed in ancient Egyptian spirituality. They all learned at the Library of Alexandria. All of the most powerful minds of that age, you know, those ages of man, Pythagoras and you know, Eratosthenes even, right? Socrates, whoever, right? Plato, all these guys learned in the Library of Alexandria, that they learned to unify the mind, to think in unison, both in the physical and spiritual, in the male and female, all at the same time. So throughout all of these ages, they would show these people who have been anointed and have reached Christos, ascension. Christos, Christ Jesus is what they called Jesus in all of these European places up until like the year 1900. Not Jesus Christ. It was never his name. It was never Jesus Christ. And so the powerful thing for me, all the shit that I learned about all of the esoteric stuff, like Jesus did the same thing that I'm doing right now, right? I've got to go digging through books and finding this or that and all this other stuff. I could have went to Alexandria. I could have dedicated 10 years of my life to figuring out how to do it, you know, but this is the path, right? It's inner. It's not outer. It's not up in outer space. God isn't up and away. God is right here. I am an expression of God's will, right? That's what Jesus was, the same thing. I am a son of God, and they misinterpreted that on purpose. I am the son of God. Ha, 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 kill him, put him up on a cross. You know, but the stories were even invalidated through, you know, historically, and his name was used militarily, you know? And that's the shitty part about the whole thing. I mean, whatever his actual name was, the Christ that we see in the Bible is the Jesus Christ, right? Previous to those Bibles being written, it was always Christ Jesus with a halo. The saints get the halo. Why? Because they have reached unison, right? One mind rather than one side or the other. They're not male or female dominant. You know, it's not abstract or memory based only, right? They use the whole thing together. This is what they called anointed or Christos in ancient Greece. This is why they said Christos Jesus, the ascended, the anointed one, right? So his name, how it got transferred here, comes from like through Germany and all this stuff, you know. And you know, yeah, I am. You know, when you say I am, that's the way that they learned in ancient Egypt, right? I've got like 50 books of the Emerald Tablets I bought over and over and over again. Don't know why, but you know, so in the Emerald Tablets you would learn, like, I mean, I could pick anything out of there. The I am is, I am that. I am that thing, right? That. I am that. That's 7, right? The G, the God. I. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I is the 9th. That is God. The 9 is the God, the I am, right? Why did the Hebrews not have a number system? Why did the Greeks not have a number system? They used their letters, right? So, and I can pick anything out of this book and make it make sense to you. In all space, there is only one wisdom. Through seeming decided, it is one in the one. All that exists comes forth from the light, and the light comes forth from the all. The all and the light. He's talking about the monad. The Greeks learned this as the monad. You are born this. You evolve into this. You come into form, and 360 degrees worth of science or math or whatever, the more I evolve here on this earth, the more ascended, light-headed, light-hearted I become, right? And with each degree of influence over my mind and how it works, I become godly, right? Worthy of godliness, meaning a man on earth with God's intentions within my brain, right? And the gods were put into the heavens. The gods is a misinterpretation of the kings and queens and pharaohs who were the bridge between, right? So that sounds nutty, right? But it's not saying I am a god. It's saying that I am a king, I am a pharaoh, I am something worth something on this earth, right? So now that I've taught myself all these different kinds of things and how to use my brain as what it was designed for, now I return to the outer, right? So the 9, right? 9 times anything goes back to 9, all that stuff. So I am the all, I am the one, right? I am means I, my interface. You say I as a letter or I as me, right? I is my interface to all reality. What is in here, right, is maybe the 3, and what is out there is the 9, right? I am the 6, right? So it's weird shit, man, but it's cool, right? I'll pick another one. It's once I stood in the halls of Amenti and heard the voice of the lords of Amenti, saying in tones that rang through the silence words of power, mighty and potent. Chanted they the song of the cycles, the words that open the path to beyond. I saw it. I saw the great path opened and looked for the instant into the beyond. Saw I the movements of the cycles, vast as the thought of the source could convey. The path back to the stars, right? The path back to the light from whence we came. That's what they usually say, shit like that, right? The I am. It's all in here. That's apophatic speech. I am the way. I am the light. And Thoth, right? He was the god of wisdom, but he said, I am that which rushes down from the mountains high and spreads the seed across the plains. He's talking about the wind, apophatically. I am that one thing in all things, right? That is what they've always meant by the great creator, the essence in all things, the 5th element. That is you. That is the ether that's in your brain, the electrical water that you share with the outer realms, right? The consciousness of all things, how the stars work in unison to create the blueprint for what the spark of life that you are at birth. What is the blueprint for your zodiacal features? What's the blueprint there? It's the cosmic sum of different vibrations of different frequencies at certain times, as we're talking about binaural beats, right? How do I influence the neurons of the mind? I create specific vibrations through light, sound, or vibration, right? So the stars and the light that they shine down on you can all be counted, right? So it's reaching ascension, so that cosmic energy. And that's what this book is all about, is to understand that we come from the stars and we return to the stars. Mithras and the Statue of Liberty, right? With the broken chain, I've broken my bond to this earthly realm. Well, that was donated to the United States by the French Freemasons, right? Who were a sect or learned of the, Mithras was a Persian god of the Knights of Malta or Knights of Malta, later becomes the Knights Templar, the Jesuits. You guys got to remind me to do a video on this Jesuits thing, man. It is freaking crazy stuff. There's a guy that I'm friends with. His name is Jesuit Slayer. I'd really like to get into that whole thing with him because he's been reading this shit for, I caught him 5 years ago, but they hammer him on silencing him. He is so censored because it's not the Jews, it's not the Christians, it's not the Muslims. It's all 3 of us too stupid to do anything about ourselves. It's just easier to hate those motherfuckers, man. All of those other people, it's too easy to hate all of them rather than hate me. Like, yo, stupid fuck, like, you didn't see this stuff? It's the Jesuits, So, yeah, of course, Quint. So, but though that different, that chemistry of those radiant features of each star that is in the sky is what determines your blueprint for the rest of your life. That is the zodiac that you are, right? That's the values of that radiant energy that has permeated the daughters of men on earth, as the book of Enoch says, right? We impregnated the women of, the daughters of men on earth. What the hell do they mean by that? So angels flew down from outer space, fucked all our daughters. Now we have, right? No, man. The stars are the gods in the heavens. You want to become a god in the heavens. If you become a god in the heavens, at that point, you are now part of the divine creators that determine through your light what the blueprint will be for the future of mankind, right? So that's the point behind being a god on earth. Like Rome, like Julius Caesar said, I'm a god on earth. And they would always make fun of it and anytime you read anything about that, this is what they always meant about God, So these are fantastic topics to get into, but I don't want to discredit what I'm trying to tell everybody about these frequency things. It's the same shit that they've always been doing. It's always been the way that they've controlled everybody, right? Low vibration. Look at that girl's ass over there. If you go over and bang her, right? I could steal your house. I could steal your money. I could do whatever, right? But as soon as they get you to look at that girl's ass, low frequency, low vibration. Why is there a life of celibacy in monks or the Pythagorean schools, really? I mean, that was another one. Or the Tibetan monks, right? Priests, celibacy, no sex. Why? It's not just about Christ oil being raised up and all that different stuff, but it's a low level, low vibration, low frequency way of thinking or seeing things. Everything becomes physical that way, right? Boy, she does have a nice ass. It's pretty easy to fall into it. You're a guy, you look, you see an ass, you're like, hey, whoa, right? What the fuck was Shane saying? Right? Like, so belief systems other than monotheism. The Gnostics are where it's at, man. I mean, for me, Rich, the Gnostics are where it's at. I've been looking into belief systems other than monotheism, and the term God is akin to an idol. An idol being, so the idol worshippers, the idols were the pharaohs, were the kings, were the queens, and all that stuff. And the term God is akin to an idol, a symbolic representation of gnosis. Symbolic representation of notice. So, I don't know. I don't even know what to say there. I don't know if that's accurate or not. My brain just froze on me. Lust is the lowest vibration. Well, it comes from the lowest chakra, the first thing that drives us to do anything. It's from your pelvis, the chemistry. This stuff is nuts, man. The tablets of, the emerald tablets are crazy. Cause and effect in the key of prophecy. I'll read one more line out of here because it's pretty cool. The keys of life and death. I'm going to pick a random page and pick a spot. But deep in earth's heart lies the flower, the source of the spirit that binds all in its form. Or know ye that the earth is living in body, as thou art alive in thine own formed form. The flower of life is as thine own place of spirit, and streams through the earth, as the thine flows through, as thine flows through thy form, giving of all life to the earth and its children, renewing the spirit from form unto form. This is the spirit that is the form of thy body, shaping and molding into its form. So if you hear the way that he's speaking, right, this is the same way that Jesus and the Bible, it's like Yoda, right? It's always backwards, it's coming into your head in a different way, Jews run everything. They might run everything, but the Jesuits, are Hitler, influenced by the Jesuits, right? The Poles, the Czechs, the Austrians, the Swedish, the Russians, right? All of them. You guys I got to do a video on this, man. But look at the eagle symbology. The eagle and the crown symbology in all of those different places in Europe. I'm telling you, it's the Knights Templar are the people that are at the top of it. And it makes sense out of the whole Hitler thing. The Iron Cross of Germany. Like, there's so much, man. That's a wild topic. And I'm ashamed of myself for pointing my finger at one specific group of people that have a religious foothold in the world, All right, man. So it's Sunday night. I'm going to eat something, and I don't know what time it is even here. So 6 o'clock. All right, guys. Oh, the clocks went back. It's bright as hell out and it's sunny out there too. So this is awesome. I got to try and fix my truck. My son keeps taking all my tools out of my truck. Candace Owens' father-in-law and husband. Is he one of them? Her father-in-law is the dude of the Jesuits. The Jesuits, man. They do the best job of hiding in the background and getting the other. They use the Jews as the favored child. By the whole finance. It's like having 3 kids. One is the oldest, and the other 2 are twins. And the oldest, like, hey, I'm going to give you $50 today, and the twins, I'm not giving any money to them. I'll let it up to your big brother on whether or not you get it, But they're the ones that make the money, the rubber hit the road, right? Like, but what do we do about that? We start fighting with each other. It's the Muslims, it's the Christians, it's the Jews. Everybody's like shaped up and formed to, attack the Jews or Israel or whatever they identify as, right? Poland, where is Bibi Netanyahu from? Where was Hitler from? Austria. Why was he running Germany? Bibi Netanyahu is Polish. Milkowski, converted to Judaism, is a secular Jew. He's not a real Jew. He doesn't worship anything Jewish, right? What's the war with Rome? There is no war with Rome. He's trying to garner support from the Jewish population, right? The war with Rome, like, that goes into Herod, and that's an interesting time in history because it's not real clear. It's also lied about, like, the whole Israelite versus Hyksos thing from ancient Egypt, teaching how you resonate with them. Yeah, the Gnostic stuff is about the clearest cut road to spirituality I found. Like, all of it just made sense, And my son was really, really hammering away at me because they'd been, when they had their experiences with church, it was always requiring that they had a Bible or they learned of the Bible, and then you've got the theta brainwaves kicking and the frequencies going on all around everybody, right? And how are they being influenced by their phone or the AI that they're asking questions back? He got so ego-driven, and so did I in a couple places there, but I'm asking questions more deliberately, right? And he's just asking random questions. So it can lie and tell him anything, right? And he will start to shape up his own way of viewing things, but it will be one-dimensional because there's so much ego fluffed around all of it. If he would shave that back and start to see this bigger area within it, then he'll understand, but that's hard, man. That stuff's hard between families. Is Israel behind the vaccine? Yeah, I mean, everybody there was, everybody involved in the whole vaccine thing, man, right? Identifies as Jewish. Doesn't mean they're absolutely Jewish. They identify under the Seal of Solomon, which is only religious towards power. The God is power, So I'm going, see you guys. Yeah, take it easy on Sabrina Wallace. And if you've got something against her and you're that fucking shallow and stupid and petty, get the fuck off my page, man. Or anybody else. So you can't see what we're doing is trying to help people see the things that we're finding. Me and my way, her and her way. I mean, you're a fucking loser. If you're a loser, if you're saying that kind of shit about somebody, no matter what the deal is with that person or any other person doing it, I think the lady is brilliant. I just don't have I can't understand things from her way of seeing things. It's very complex. I mean, I understand it from a broad, generalized perspective. If you want to understand why do you have a MAC address, she'll tell you what college programs led to it. What the engineers programs in those college structures have led their students into being a part of, and the electrical engineers aren't telling you. The communications guys that went to school for this kind of shit are tethering your fucking brain to a computer network. You're not mad about that? Like, what the fuck? She's showing you it all. So don't start that shit, man. Jesus. Drives me nuts. The whole thing's driving me nuts that people could be that stupid to want to shoot the messenger. Dying here because of them. I have... love your videos. Thanks, Bart. All right, homie. Yeah, all of you guys, man. See you later. In the book, it said we were the keepers of the truth. It's to walk in the truth, stand up in the truth. I'm not afraid of anything as long as I'm in the truth. Truth will always stand on its own, So, if you own a mobile, you have a piece of Israel in your hand. That's true. I can't argue that, Liam. You're right. I mean, it's literally Mossad agents and all that stuff. They control and own all the technology. It all goes back to Israel as one of the conduits, right? But there's a bigger network above that. You know, Netanyahu, he is a Jesuit, just like Hitler was a Jesuit, right? They're misleading. Now, I'm going to do a video about that. See you guys.